What's up, everyone? Welcome out to Positively Atheist. It's been a while since I made a video, and hopefully I'll be able to make some more often. But yeah, I just wanted to make a quick video on how, as an atheist, I deal with the finality of death and the finality of life, and how I deal with all that stuff. Um, this video is going to be titled "Of Nihilism and of Nietzsche and Nihilism." The reason why is because Nietzsche famously coined the phrase "God is dead," and I think as a society, as a species, as a global community, we are dealing with the reality that God, or at least what's been presented to us as God by religions, is effectively dead. Religions are dying, churches are dying, religious institutions are losing their grip on society. And Nietzsche famously asked a question that I think all of us are asking on some level. Now that God is dead, what then? Um, I think this is a really big question because I know a lot of people, when they are leaving their faith or considering leaving their faith or rejecting their faith from their life, they struggle with this. This can actually, the idea of there being no God can actually drive people insane. People can lose their minds. And a lot of this has to do with this idea that if there is no God, there is no afterlife. And I know a lot of people struggle with this, and this is something that I've struggled with in my life too. The idea of the finality of death, and um, how discouraging that can be. The idea that when you die, there is nothing. Um, and I want to talk to you guys about how I have personally dealt with this, and maybe hopefully offer some insight to all of you who are kind of going down a similar journey and dealing with this idea that there may not be a God. And if there is no God, maybe there is no afterlife. And first and foremost, I want to start off by saying this is not an easy topic to discuss, because for many people, their religion and their religious beliefs have offered a sense of peace and comfort in times of difficulty, especially maybe if you lose a loved one, a family member, or a friend to death. And until now, you have been consoled by the idea that you may actually get to see them again in some respect, maybe in heaven or the afterlife, whatever you happen to believe. And then when confronted with the idea that there may not be a God, you are now faced with the awkward and sometimes horrible feeling that none of that was true. So like I said, I want to talk to you about how I personally have to deal with this and my personal feelings on it. Because I've been all over the board on this, and I think a lot of us, when we jettison our faith, we tend to go to like a pendulum swing, right? Now that God's effectively dead in your life, now you have to ask a lot of questions like, okay, well, if there is no God, what does it mean for all the moral thoughts and philosophies that were told to me by my religious upbringing? What does it mean about all the other beliefs and my behavior patterns? And it causes a lot of us to go through this pendulum swing where we swing to the other side and almost throw out everything that religion did offer us. It's, the idea of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It would just toss it out as if it's all rubbish. But I want to present a slightly different approach, and maybe an approach that might help many of you who are struggling with this topic and trying to figure out how to deal with it for other people and for your own life and your own sanity. Because the idea that there is absolutely nothing after this life can be very daunting and discouraging for many people. I've heard people actually say, if there is no God and there's no heaven and hell, maybe I just don't even want to live anymore. people have said that. But this is where I kind of part ways with a lot of my atheistic friends and associates, because here's the deal. I don't know at all what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't even know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, and hell, I don't even know what's going to happen in 30 seconds. I mean, think about this right now. You're watching this video, no matter when you're watching it. A minute from now, something could happen and kill me, kill anybody else who's watching this. My life could be in the next 30 seconds, and I wouldn't even know right now, right? On the other side, I could win some kind of random drawing, or maybe the lottery, next week. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for me. And this is part of the mystery of life, right? Because none of us really know what tomorrow holds. None of us know what a minute from now, what life has in store from us, even just a minute from now. You can go from being in the most lowliest position in your life to being in the most upgraded position that you can imagine. In a matter of minutes, it can happen, right? And that just shows the unpredictability of life. So if someone asks me, what do I believe will happen after I die? Well, my answer is going to be the same. I know this is going to shock some of you out there who think atheism is this positive assertion that there are no gods, which I've already dealt with that many times. That atheism is not necessarily this positive assertion that there are no gods, there's no heaven. No. It's just a lack of belief in such. So what I mean is that I don't know. Since I don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, and I sure as hell I'm not going to pretend to know what is going to happen at the eventual time of my death. Okay, and I think this is the key for me on how I deal with it emotionally and personally, and how I deal with these this sense of impending doom. What I say is, look, the most rational position on any belief system is to withhold belief until such a time that evidence is actually demonstrated for a belief. I just think that's the most rational and most reasonable approach to anything in life. If you don't have enough evidence to believe something, you should not. Now, it is true, I don't have enough evidence to believe in a God, or believe in a heaven, or a hell, or an afterlife, right? I don't have enough evidence for that. But if I'm being 100% real, which I try to be 100% real, this is what we do here at Positively Atheist, the truth is, I don't have any evidence of the counter either. I don't have any evidence that there is no heaven. I don't have any evidence that there is no afterlife. I don't have any evidence that consciousness will not somehow continue in some form after I die. I don't have any evidence of that either. So one of the problems I have with this whole idea of nihilism, or the acceptance of the proposition of nihilism as a solution for what will happen eventually after we die, I think that comes with a certain level of belief and a certain level of positive claims that need to be demonstrated. See, a nihilist will tell you there is no heaven, there's no hell, there's no God, right? This is the idea that positive nihilism presents. This idea that, because we don't have enough evidence for God, there must not be one. Or, in some cases, because the ideas of God and heaven that have been presented to us are mutually contradictory, that there must not be a God, must not be a heaven and hell. Not so fast. Just like I believe a positive assertion that a God exists requires a burden of proof, if you're going to make the claim that there is no heaven, that there is no hell, that there is no afterlife, and that there's no continuation of consciousness after this life, that carries with it a burden of proof. Okay, I know this is going to upset some people out there. They're going to say, well, I don't have a burden of... Yes, you do. Anytime you make a positive assertion, anytime you say something, anytime you make a claim of fact, you now have a burden of proof. Okay, and that's regardless if you're trying to convince somebody or not. As a reasonable, rational person, anytime you make a claim of fact in your mind, you must now, if you want to remain rational and reasonable, you must justify that claim. So the idea that there is absolutely no heaven, no hell, the idea that there's absolutely no afterlife, these are positive assertions that people make that carry with them a burden of proof that, in my opinion, have not been met. Now, this is not the same thing as me saying that it's possible there's a heaven or hell. This is not the same thing as me saying there's possible as a God, right? Possibility also requires, in order to say something is possible, you have to be able to show that it's at least consistent with the natural order, which, as we've already talked about multiple times, the idea of God and this type of stuff doesn't work in a natural order of things, right? Supernaturalism doesn't work in a natural order by definition. It's because it's supernatural. It's supposed to be outside of the natural order of things. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's evidence that there is no heaven or hell, guys. It's just like the black swan fallacy. Just because you've never seen a black swan doesn't mean that there are no black swans. And just because you have never, or I have never, experienced the afterlife, if such a thing should exist, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That doesn't mean it can't exist, right? So, just like people who are in religion can make claims that are not justifiable, that haven't been justified, that don't meet a burden of evidence, so can people who are not religious. Okay? So, what I say is this. I don't know. If somebody asks you what's going to happen after I die, the answer, the most honest, honestly, in my opinion, the only honest answer anyone can give is, I don't know. Then that's it. Sometimes saying the phrase, I don't know, is the only intellectually honest answer that you can give to a question. Sometimes that's just the case. When it comes to what happens after we die, I don't know. And I personally don't believe anyone does know. Because the only way to truly know what happens after this life is after you have actually died. And I don't mean near-death experience. I mean actually died to the point that your body has decomposed and you are rotting in the ground. And only until such a time that your body has completely dissipated and it can be definitively demonstrated that your body has no actual life in it, which, by the way, scientists and medical professionals are still up to debate what death even is. Death seems to be a process that happens over a long period of time. So what I say is, until you have died to the point that your body has completely decomposed, there's no way you can ever say what's going to happen after your life until that point happens. And here's the deal. Once that happens, you can't come back and tell us. Right? Until you have actually died. Completely dead. 100% completely dead. Decomposed body. Completely decomposed body. Until that point has happened, you will never know what awaits you. And so what I say is, to me, this brings me a sense of comfort and peace. The reason why is because it's not some false hope or false promise of something that's going to happen, but it's also not a certainty that of lack of things that's going to happen either. It's not some false certainty that I have on either way. And so when somebody dies and somebody passes away or they die, or their physical body dies, I don't find myself discouraged in a sense of hopelessness. Because This idea that there is nothing after this life, this is an assertion that still has yet to be demonstrated. So what I say is very simple. When someone dies, where are they at? What happens to them? The answer for me is I don't know. I'd like and I take it a step further, because the thing is that some people may hear the phrase I don't know and still find a way to be discouraged by that answer, to find a way to be concerned that, oh, well, you're saying I don't know, it means that there could not be a soul, there could not be afterlife, it's a possibility. Once again, I don't see any evidence for that. I don't see any evidence to say that there is nothing after this life, right? Look, let's be real here, folks. This life is strange. It is incredibly odd. I am a collection of over 300 plus trillion individual cells acting as a single organism. I feel like I'm this one organism, but the truth is I'm not. I'm a collection of cells, a community of individual living organisms, bacteria, viruses, all types of blood cells, bone cells, neurological cells, all acting as if I'm a single organism talking to you on a camera, and you are sitting there believing that you are a single organism listening and watching this content. We live on the giant rock hurling through space, held together by the laws of physics. And anyone who looks at this scenario and doesn't approach it with a sense of awe and wonder is someone that has not ever really thought about it. There are people who are so egotistical and so self-absorbed and so prideful and arrogant that they would look at this life and not be amazed by the situation we find ourselves in. So the truth is, this being here in this life is so strange. And even though I'm an atheist because I don't believe in a God, that doesn't mean that I'm closed off to any possibilities of such, right? To be honest with you, I kind of think it would be awesome to find out that base reality on some level is magic, right? I'm a big fan of magic. I like Harry Potter. I like the Harry Potter series. I like one of my favorite movies was Will Smith called Bright. If you haven't seen it, watch it. I love the idea that life is magical, because it is magical, right? It feels magical for all intents and purposes. This life that we're in and the laws that govern our lives and all these intricate things. I understand why people believe in a God, right? Because it does seem so strange and magical. So what I say is, it feels like it might be magic, and who knows, it might be. So if you are struggling, you've experienced a recent loss of somebody, and maybe you're struggling through depression, and maybe you are not in a religion, and you are struggling to understand what this means. Sometimes the best answer you can give is, I don't know. What does it mean for someone to die, for their consciousness to end? I don't really know. I don't know the answer to that question. But I will say this. Just like I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, just like I don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, I have hope that tomorrow will be a better day. I have hope that 5 minutes from now is a better day. Sometimes all you got is hope, bro. And that's okay. You don't have to know the answers. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to have hope. Who knows what's going to happen after this life, man? Who knows? I don't. And I'm not going to pretend to. And anybody else who does is lying to you. So hopefully you found this message encouraging. Have hope, man. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what will happen? Who knows what this life is really about? No one really does. Even though people want to pretend like they do, they want to create ideas of of what life is about. And they want to pretend like God has told them these things. I don't know. Maybe God has. But until there's such a time to believe with certainty, I'm not going to. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to have hope. I have hope that every person I've loved, that somehow we'll stay connected. And the truth is, we are connected. We are always connected. All we have, I want to say something else real quick about death. How I deal with death as an atheist. If you really think about it on a physical level, all we ever have of each other is our memories. Even when you're talking to someone face to face, you have to understand that it takes light a specific amount of time to get to their face, and to bounce off their face and then go into your retina, and from your retina get processed through your retinal stems, and then get processed in your brain for an image to get created. Right? It takes time for all this to happen. It's not instant. And that is a simple fact of nature. Light has a finite speed. And all this processing takes time. Even though it's so quick, it's barely noticeable. It is a fact that when you look at someone and you are talking to someone, you are not experiencing the true present moment. You are looking into the past. So if you really think about this, guys, all of our interactions are simply memories. Everything we experience is a memory of the past. So if you really think about it, all we ever have of each other, guys, is our memories. So when someone dies or passes away from this world, that doesn't change. The truth is, all we ever have is its memories. And when someone dies, it's like them going off, just like you say goodbye to your friend and you may not see each other for a couple of weeks. You may or may not ever see that person again. That's not a reason to necessarily mourn, right? That's just part of life. People come and go. But the truth is, all we have is our memories. And so when someone dies, nothing has changed. Yeah, they seem to have gone far, far away from us. But I just like to believe and have hope, guys, that there's never such thing as goodbye. That it's always in some way, talk to you later. And with that said, everyone, I'd like to end by simply saying, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.